Welcome back, everybody. My name is Tim. This is another Real Ideal Gear review. And today we're talking about outdoor flashlights. And outdoor flashlights is a very, very generic term because pretty much any flashlight you bring from the inside to the outside is considered then an outdoor flashlight. There are some flashlights, obviously, that are better than others when it comes down to the overall specifications. You know, water resistance is a really important one. And then, of course, you got lumens, which is the light output, and then the candela, which is kind of the density of light at a particular distance. The higher the candela, the more dense that light is at a particular distance. So there's all kinds of things that we talk about when it comes down to outdoor lights. We're going to get into that a little bit. This is not a review of flashlights. I'm not going to review all of these flashlights. Okay. This is the overwhelming majority. There's only a couple of flashlights that are not out here that could be out here. My wife has one. Anyway, this is it. Okay. So I'm not doing a review of all these flashlights. As a matter of fact, there's a handful of these that have already been reviewed and I'm working through that. We're going to have a flashlight week. And I think maybe this video is going to be part of that flashlight week. I haven't decided yet, but it's going to be just a week of flashlight videos that come out every day of the week. And I'm not sure how many, but we're going to have flashlights reviews coming out so I can get a bunch of these out there because I think there's a number of these flashlights that people would really enjoy having. I think would really fit a lot of the needs that people have asked me about. And there's, of course, nuances, just like tennis shoes, certain shoes do some things just a little bit better than others. And when you start splitting the hairs, you start ending up with a bunch of flashlights like this. Okay. So that's what this review is going to be really about, outdoor flashlights and kind of how do I go about doing this. Now, generally speaking, I have with me when I'm outdoors, particularly hiking, camping, mountaineering, that kind of thing, hunting, fishing, I typically have 3 flashlights with me when it comes to a backpack or a jacket. Okay, I have one on my keychain, one in my pocket, and maybe one in my jacket pocket, one in the backpack, or you get the idea. I'm carrying this other bigger flashlight for a reason. People ask me, like, what, 3 flashlights? What do you need 3 flashlights for? You need 1, maybe 2, right? Well, not necessarily. Okay, I think there's a lot of good reasons to have multiple flashlights. We're going to talk about that because I think there's a 3-tiered system that we're going to get into real quick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I think it's common sense, but I'm going to point it out so that the light bulb goes on and you have that idea in your head. And it's 3 things. And those 3 things I think are very easy to remember, like layers of the onion. You have the outside layer, the middle layer, and then the kind of the heart or the middle of the onion, which is really, really, really important. But at the same time, that's the warm, fuzzy stuff. But you get the 3 things, easy to remember. And to me, that's kind of just how I go about choosing these flashlights. So when I'm looking at these flashlights, it's overwhelming. But when it comes down to, like, I'm going to do a task, I'm going to go out hunting and I'm going to do this the entire day, I'm going to have 3 flashlights with me. Because if I go out for a day, I have to plan for at least 2, maybe 3. All right. I'm doing that with my food. I'm doing that with my water. I'm doing that with my clothing that I have with me, the first aid kit that I bring with me, all that stuff. I'm thinking more than just one day. So the overall philosophy is this. And for those of you that have ever been in the military or law enforcement or maybe EMS, first responder type stuff, you always have heard this, and that is 3 is 2, 2 is 1, and 1 is none. 3 is 2, 2 is 1, 1 is none. So if you have 1 flashlight, you really don't have a flashlight because if it goes down, you're done. If you have 2 flashlights, you have 1. And that's that whole redundancy idea. Okay. You get the idea. Having more than 1 is not a bad idea. Okay. And we all know, especially when a light can be very helpful to you when it comes down to any type of semi-survival situation. When I say semi-survival, that means you're basically out of your element a little bit. And that can happen coming home from work. Okay. You may get detoured and maybe get a flat tire. You're out of your element just a little bit. Okay. Here in Western Montana, you could be driving down a particular road, and if you make a bad turn, you go off the edge of an area where there's a steep hill, and people may not find you for a few hours. And if that happens at 10 o'clock at night, we're talking like 1 or 2 in the morning if they find you that night. So there's a lot of things about like just redundancy that I think is really important. That's one piece of this. The second piece of this is the layers of protection, security, and comfort that you build into why you choose 3 flashlights. You don't choose 3 flashlights to have, this one's probably 15 years old, 10 to 15 years old. This is the tiny monster from Nightcore, the TM06 or the TM06. 4,000 lumens. At the time, this was a huge deal because they had another one that was, I think it was at 8,000 lumens or something like that. It was massive and it was way more powerful. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get the smaller one, 4,000 lumens. It's so bright. And I go outside and it's like, oh, that is really bright. But we're not just saying like, you go out and you pick this flashlight and you say, I need 3 of these. You don't need 3 of these flashlights. Okay. You may need 1 of these, and maybe there's a specific reason or a few reasons why you would choose 1 of these. But to have 3 of these really that's not the idea. The idea is you want to be flexible and responsive when it comes down to the choices of flashlights that you bring with you. So that might be one of them, but then there may be one out of this area here and then one out of this area over here. And we're going to talk about that, okay? But you have 3 different kind of layers of things that you're trying to figure out. One of them is the perimeter and security, or the protection and security of wherever you're at. The next one is security and safety. And the last one is safety and convenience. And that's kind of this outside, like the very edge of the perimeter of where you're at. Maybe it's your property that you live on. Maybe it's the campsite or the campground that you're on. And the second layer, which is safety and security, is the campsite within the campground. Maybe this is the area from your home property. It's between the property line border and your house. Okay. This is your safety and security area. You're walking from your garage to your house, or you're putting the garbage out, or it's the backyard. Okay. That would be your safety and security area. Once you're inside the envelope of a house or a tent or an RV, now that would be where your safety and convenience is located. Okay. We're not as concerned about protection at that point. It's a diminished level. It doesn't go away. It may be a diminished level from a lighting perspective. But at the same time, it has a little bit more convenience that's rolled into it. So it just kind of gives way to more convenience inside the house. Like if you have the power go out, do you have a way of lighting up several rooms in your house for extended periods of time? That's a convenience thing. Is it a safety thing? Sure, it's a safety thing. Is there protection involved? Absolutely, there's protection involved. But if you don't have any kind of layered protection that goes from the outside perimeter to the inside of your home or inside of your tent, then yeah, you're going to put everything inside your tent because you ignored everything on the outside of your tent or ignored everything outside your house. So that's why it's important to have layers so that you don't put all of your responsibility, all of your resources into one location. All right. Hence why we have 3 flashlights. That's why I bring 3 flashlights with. So those are the 3 things that we're going to talk about. The next one, I'm going to put this up on the screen here because I have this electronically. But this is the Real Ideal Gear flashlight matrix. And I put this out here. I came up with this. And the more I started thinking about this, I was like, dang it, this actually makes a lot of sense. And there's basically 2 things. Vertically, you have distance, and horizontally, you have duration. And this is distance from resupply and duration from resupply. So as you're looking at where you are and what you're going to do, we're talking about 2 things. We're talking about the distance that you're going to travel away from your car, the distance you're going to travel away from your home, the distance you're traveling away from maybe work. Maybe work is considered a resupply area. Okay, it could be because maybe you have a lot of things at work that you could use as a resupply. Maybe you have some charging cords, whatever. But distance away from the ability or capacity to resupply yourself with power for batteries or resupply yourself with another flashlight. The bottom portion is duration. How long are you away from this resupply area? Is it weeks on end? Maybe you're going across country. For the United States, where you travel across country, there's a lot of people that do that. They go from California over to the West Coast or East Coast. And, to do that, you're going to be traveling long distances. Now, you're in your car and you're probably going to have supplies in your car. So are you technically a long distance away from your resupply? No. But maybe the duration that you're traveling away from your home means that you have to have certain, battery chargers or anything like that, to make sure that what you have can run longer. Okay. So those are the 2 ideas, and they're gray, but at the same time, they do kind of help organize things a little bit. So for instance, take a look at the chart in the upper left-hand corner, if I'm going a long distance away but a short time away, I'm going a long distance away, but it's only for a short period of time. And I would give this an example as being mountaineering. Because in mountaineering, what you do for acclimatization, you climb up to a certain elevation and you hang out there for a little bit. It's like, oh, hey, great. And then you go back to your base camp. Okay. You do that a couple of times. And then next time you go up there, you stay up there. And then you acclimatize and then you go to the next level. Okay. So that's part of mountaineering. So those are short trips. But every time I go back to my tent, I'm resupplying. So my duration away from my tent is short, but my distance is significant. Okay. Now let's say I'm going to go hike the Pacific Coast Trail or the Appalachian Trail. These trails take months to traverse across the United States. These are north and south trails going across the mountain ranges, basically on the west coast and the mountain ranges on the east coast, the Appalachian Mountains and the Pacific, or the Pacific Coast Trail is in the Sierra Nevadas, I think. In any case, you're going a long distance and you're away from resupply for long periods of time. So you're in the upper right-hand corner. And so there's certain characteristics that you look for when you're doing something like that. Then, of course, at the bottom, when you're not going very far away, this is kind of your RV camping, you're traveling across country camping, hoteling, going from one hotel to the next. And let's not forget, hoteling is part of this too, okay? But hotels, you plug stuff in when you get there. So, your distance away from resupply is pretty short, but maybe your duration away from home is long enough where you have to bring several batteries and charging cord systems to make that duration last. Okay, maybe the flashlights you choose have that capacity of being charged real quickly, or they can charge other things if need be. That's all part of that short distance but long duration. Okay, and then the bottom left-hand corner is kind of like your everyday going to work, coming home. You're not really that far away from home. You're not really that long away from home. You're not that far away from your office. You're not that long away from your office, that kind of thing. And you can have basically whatever you want. Also, law enforcement, search and rescue, you guys live in that lower left-hand corner. All right. Unless you're doing search and rescue in a situation where you are going to be away for several days on a search or recovery mission, that would be one thing. Now, the military, you would probably be in that lower left-hand corner most of the time. But when you go out on patrols or you go out on missions, obviously your duration and your distance is going to go way up, and you're going to be in that mode of that upper right-hand corner more possibly than in the lower left-hand corner. So you get the idea. So this is, I think, a really important matrix when it comes down to choosing the characteristics. Okay, enough of that. All right, now we're going to get into the examples, and we're going to get into the handling of the flashlights here. We're going to start making some choices and really talking through some of these flashlights. There's all kinds of flashlights. I'll try to introduce everybody to as many of these flashlights as possible. And if I forget, I'm sorry, but I will have them listed on the video description so that you know what the flashlights are. Okay. And I'll go probably row by row. So the top row from left to right, middle row left to right, and then the bottom row left to right. Okay. So that you have an idea of what these flashlights are if you're interested in them. So that's kind of how I'm going to identify this. Now we're going to go through 3 examples. We're going to start to narrow this down. We're going to start using this matrix as part of our guide. So I'll pull this out here. We're going to start using this matrix as part of our guide for what are we going to choose and why are we going to choose these things, okay? So for the first example, we're going to be talking about destination camping. This is kind of your RV, hotel, car camping, travel trailer. Your destination means you're going to go from point A to point B. That destination you're going to is resource rich. Running water, electricity. Maybe it has, if it's a hotel, obviously you have all the amenities basically of your home or the general amenities of your home. So really not a big change from what you're leaving generally. Okay. So this is kind of that low distance away from resources and kind of a low distance or low duration possibly. Now, if you're considering yourself like I'm bringing all that I need with me and I'm traveling to a certain, you're going to have certain flashlights with you, certain batteries, certain chargers, all of that stuff with you. So now you're moving up that scale of duration away from home where you can't go back and just grab another flashlight or go grab another battery. You need to have all that stuff with you and you're transporting that with you on this trip. So that's what we're looking at. So we're looking at basically the bottom of this matrix. We're looking at this line down here, the duration line. We're not going to go too far away from resupply. Our distance is very short because that's where the hotel is or that's where the travel trailer is. So we're going to stay in this area. So law enforcement, first responders are generally in this lower left-hand corner most of the time, not always. But that's kind of the idea. So what are we looking for in these kind of flashlights? Well, we're looking for flashlights that we don't really care too much about the size of the flashlight. We're looking more at the specific capabilities of the flashlight. So when it comes down to perimeter or protection and security, I'm going for the biggest, baddest flashlight. I'm going to bring the X75. This is going to be in my travel trailer. I don't need to worry about the weight so much. I want the light, and I want to be able to light things up. Okay. As far as protection and security, protection, you hit somebody with 70,000 lumens with just, I don't know how many candela. Let's see, the candela on that one is, 330,000 candela. That is a lot, okay? That is, at closer distance, that's blinding. That is debilitating. That is what security and protection is all about. So that's what I'm going for. I'm going for something like the X75. Now that's that first layer. That's the perimeter. That's what lights up the edge of the campground. It lights up the parking lot at my hotel. Okay. I don't care about the hallways. Certainly it's going to light the hallways. I need to light up the parking lot. I want to be able to have, if there's somebody on the edges there, and you've seen this too, you have people that are maybe of a shadier appearance. That's how you start things out. You always go by appearance to start. But you're just not real sure. And there's, in the place where there's no light, and you start adding these different indicators up. It's like, well, this is starting to make less and less sense. And, if you need to, you hit them with that light and they just kind of take off in their car and run away. But that would be the simple way. But you get the idea. That's what that's for. Now, the second part, which is security and safety. It's that next layer between the perimeter and the envelope of the place that you're staying. So this could include the hallways. This could include the lobby. This could include, the campground and the campsite, closer to your campsite. Okay. That's what this next layer is all about. Yes, it still has security, and yes, it has safety involved. And I'm looking for something that's kind of that hybrid. I'm looking for something that does both really, really well. If I need to reach out a little further, I can do that. Maybe not as well as one of these bigger flashlights can, but I can do that. At the same time, I need a little more flood. Because I got to do some tasks. I need to light up an area around where I'm going to be. And that's going to take a more floody approach, or at least more spill off of a spot beam type flashlight. Okay. When I'm looking at some of those flashlights, some of the ones that come to my mind, these are some really good ones. Yeah, absolutely. We'll pull these guys out. I'm working around my tripod here, so that's why my right arm just is, if it doesn't look weird, it really is kind of awkward. So these are some of my favorites in here. Okay. When it comes down to this, and the reason for some of these, I'm going to go through some of these right now. Here's the Woburn E7. 16, is it 1600 or 1800? Let's pull this out here. E7 is 1800 lumens. 1800 lumens, max, that's turbo. And then the high, and this is something else you have to keep in mind. I'm going to just get some information here before. All right. So for example, 1800 lumens. All right. Awesome. Really bright. The candela is very low, relatively speaking. It's lower. Okay. This is a flood type light. But 1800 lumens lights up a lot of area. Okay, so this may not have the most reach. This might be something that's more of a hotel type situation where you're doing parking lots, hallways, that kind of thing. If you're out more in a more wilderness type setting, maybe you want something with a little bit more of a spot beam to it, something that has some more reach to it, a more focused beam to it to reach out a little further. But the point is this, the 1800 turbo, that's awesome, but it only runs for a minute. What about something, I need to light this up for like 2 or 3 minutes? Maybe there's something going on and it's like, I'm going to leave this light on for a while. That's where the modes of high and medium, I think, are way, way more important than turbo or moonlight. And the reason I say moonlight, because moonlight, most of these flashlights, they will run for days on moonlight. And there's no way that in this circumstance where I'm RV camping and all that, there's no way I'm not going to recharge this, 2-3 weeks later. I'm going to recharge this probably 2 or 3 days later. Okay, just make sure it has a full charge. So that the turbo works really, really well. The high level works really well. So I'm not so concerned about the moonlight mode. What I'm most concerned with is the high mode and the medium mode. Turbo and moonlight are just they're kind of fun. Okay, and actually moonlight is very useful because of reading and just that low light longevity thing. That's really awesome. But with these flashlights, it's not a concern. It's the high and the medium. How long does this run on high? How long does it run on medium? That's where the concern is that I have, okay? And when you have a 21700 battery versus an 18650, you're going to get less run time on an 18650 than you will on a 21700, assuming that the outputs are about the same, okay? So this is my concern. This is what I'm looking for. Also, versatility. This is something where if I'm lighting up a campground, or it's not the campground, but the campsite, these have magnetic tail caps. This one does. The Sofern HS41 does. And so does the IF23? Yeah, the Sofern IF23. Magnetic tail caps. What that means is you take your knife, you stick it in a tree. I can stick this on the knife on the tree, and I can rotate this around, and I can depending on where I put the knife, I can put this light wherever I want. Very versatile that way. Okay, magnetic tail caps with right angle or adjustable angle flashlights are incredibly awesome for that. Now these are more considered tactical flashlights. We have the Well-Tool T19 and we have the Nitecore EDC 35. Both of these are extremely bright. 5,000 lumens when the LumiBright is activated, okay? And the Well-Tool T19, I forget this one already, let's see here. The T19, 2,000 lumens. But you're going to get a long run time out of this. I think it's 2 hours. 1 hour. You're going to get 1 hour of run time out of this flashlight, all right, which is great. That LumiBright, you're not going to get 1 hour out of that. You're going to get minutes, maybe seconds, okay? But the point is, what is the high and what is the medium outputs in these? These are great. 18650 flashlight, 21700, okay? You're going to get a much longer run time with the same comparables. So when it comes down to that second tier, security and safety, I'm looking for something like this. Now, these two will definitely reach out. Actually, the Well-Tool does a pretty good job. It has a little bit more of a spill to it. It has an orange peel reflector in there, which does a good job of just kind of diffusing some light to the edges so you don't have a really harsh hot spot in the middle. And the EDC has, if you look at this really carefully, it has a center emitter, and it also has 8 smaller emitters on the outside. So the 8 smaller ones gives you that floodlight look, and that single emitter in the middle gives you the spotlight look, that really focused beam. And you can control that by how far you press this down. Half press is flood, full press is everything, the spot and the flood. Okay, so does an awesome job. Love these two flashlights. These are great campsite flashlights. I love them. Now, what about other tactical flashlights like the Woobin T1? It's a good flashlight. It really is. Tactically speaking, this is more of your medium to long range type lighting situation. I wouldn't necessarily use this around the campsite. It's just a little bit too focused. And that's kind of thing you have to keep in mind is what's the candela on this? The candela is really high for this one, which means that it's more of a medium range to long range type lighting situation. The Sofern IF23, this is definitely medium to short or CQ, close quarters type lighting, especially with the side light. You have both, and you can run both of these lights together. You can run the single emitter out the top here, and you can run this kind of side light, this kind of, I would call it a reading light, off the side, okay? So those are some things to keep in mind for the second tier. And when I'm car camping, I'm going to go with something that does everything really well as best I can. I'm not concerned about weight and size. I love the Sofern IF23. So far, I have these two flashlights, okay? I'm not too worried about pocket carry. I'm not too worried about, do I have enough space to carry it? Because generally I'm not going to be that far away from a hotel. I'm going to take care of that next pocket carry thing here in the next flashlight. So these are the two that I would start off with. Now, the next tier is that safety and convenience. This is inside your hotel room. This is what you might carry in your pocket around from place to place. Very, very discreet. And this is where we're going to be in this section of flashlights. All right. I love the stubby flashlights because usually they have the 18350 in there, which is half the size of the 18650. Or they'll have the 16340, I think is the other one, which is like what the OLED I think has that as well. These are all generally 1,000 lumens or better. Okay, you're going to get 1,000 lumens or better. These are your AA size flashlights, which I love these flashlights. If you're looking for something that is like close quarters, I would highly recommend the Silver Fox. The LumenTop Silver Fox is incredible. 740 lumens, I think, or 750. But you see here you have an etched lens. And so you're going to get a lot of spill you're going to get a lot of just floody light off of this flashlight. So this is a great close quarters inside your hotel room, but 750 lumens is actually very bright. Even better is the Lumentop Tool AA 3.0, 900 lumens. It comes with a diffuser cap. And so that gives you that I don't know, reading light type effect. It also, by the way, is luminescent, so it glows in the dark for a while after you take it off. Or you have kind of that hybrid spot floodlight thing going on there with a tail switch on here, which I think is really cool. Tactically speaking, this flashlight's a little bit too small for me because it fits so much into my hand. I just have a harder time pressing the button without covering up. Let's do it this hand without covering up the lens. You can start to see how my hand is enveloping the lens. So tactically speaking, this AA flashlight is a little bit more difficult for that. But these are some really good options for that. And one of the best ones that I have out here that I've been carrying a long time is the AceBeam H16 magnetic tail cap, right angle, 1,000 lumens, AA battery, 14500 actually, AA sized battery, but a 14500 lithium ion battery. Great flashlight. If I was going to pick one, I'm definitely going to go with the Silver Fox because I have this one as just an awesome job of illuminating a large area at once. So those are my 3 flashlights. If I'm RVing, easy pocket carry. It's got the magnetic base on here. Pop this right off. Okay, awesome. All right, I can keychain it if I want to keychain it. And when I really need to light something up, I can bring this. Now, another nice thing about the X75 is I can charge other things off of this. Take this tail cap off, and there's a Type-C on here, but it's a 2-way Type-C. It's charging and discharging, and you can charge other things with this light. So if you ever have to get away from civilization for a day, you're going to go out sightseeing, you can bring this with you, and it's a portable battery pack. All right, second situation, ultralight camping. I would consider this, my experience was mountaineering. And a couple of mountains that I went after, one was solo and one was with a group. And in either case, it's all about weight. And generally speaking, you're going to be away from the camp, your base camp, for hours on end, typically not more than that. You're not going to be away from base camp or the camp wherever you're at for more than 24 hours. You're going to make your climb, you're going to come back or whatever. And so the weight is important because of the elevation gain. And that's part of what really makes mountaineering difficult is that you have less and less oxygen as you're going up. And I have to say that it was one of the most challenging things physically I have ever done is mountaineering because you think you're in shape until you start climbing and climbing and climbing. And then the oxygen levels start to drop and drop and drop. It's just a weird combination that your body just has to get used to. So the guys that do this regularly or lots of respect for those men and women that go out and do that. So we're thinking ultralight. Now this is the situation where we're probably going to combine down to 2 flashlights. Do I really need to have 3? Maybe not. Maybe I'm going to go with 2. Remember, 3 is 2, 2 is 1, 1 is none. So with the 2 flashlights, I'm probably going to make sure that I have some batteries with me, probably 3 or 4 batteries because I want backup. Okay. So distance away, not too far away, but I want to go ultralight. So I'm definitely not going to carry any of these 3 guys out here. They're just too much battery, too much casing that goes along with this. But I would definitely choose a flashlight out of this area, and I would definitely choose a flashlight probably out of this area down. I would probably go out of this area down here. I'm not so sure I would pick one of these because I really want to have a little bit more capacity. Now, tactically speaking, I'm not going to go after a tactical flashlight. I'm going to go after a flashlight that has multi-purpose written all over it. One of the most multi-purpose flashlights here is the Sofirn HS41. Its smaller cousin, and I say cousin, it's not the same brand, but it's the same idea, is the Skill Hunt HS200. These 2 flashlights, obviously, they're both right angle. This is a 18, what is this? This is the 18.6 or the 18.350, okay? And this is the HS41. This is the 21.700 battery in here, so very large capacity. 4,000 lumens, and I think this one is, so this one's 1,600 lumens. 4,000, 1,600. Now, yeah, that's a big difference. Would you go 4,000 for your big flashlight? I would. Okay. And this would be I would have a very specific reason for carrying this. This is actually a fairly heavy flashlight, relatively speaking. When you're thinking of mountaineering or the Pacific Coast Trail or the Appalachian Trail, you're counting ounces or grams, wherever you're from. You're counting the small increments of increased weight, because that adds up to pounds, and pounds adds up to a lot more work. Now, your body adjusts over time. My theory is this, like, your body's going to adjust to it over time. But the first week or so, why put your body through even more stress than it needs to, right? So this would be a potential suitor for me. Also, the Woobin E7, 1800 lumens, 18650 battery. I can also swap out, this is an extension tube, and I could put an 18350 battery in here. It's much shorter. It's the same basic size as this, a little bit shorter actually than this flashlight. And you're going to get a great output, 1800 lumens, 400 lumens high. And the high output on the 200, let's see here, where did it go? Is 510. So you're going to get a little bit more out of the Skill Hunt than you will out of the Woobin. Also means it'll go through the battery a little bit faster. Again, bring some extra batteries. But this would be my primary light. This is my protection, security, my security and safety flashlight all rolled into one. And with extra batteries, I've got that covered. All right. Now, what about my small safety and convenience flashlight? This is inside the tent. When I'm ultralight camping, I'm going to think, ultra light. I want something that does not take up a lot of space, but has a lot of the highest capacity that I can get. And maybe it's a flashlight that I can exchange the battery out of. I wanted to do some multi-purpose things as well. And there's one that's really hard to beat, which is the Rovivon A8. This is the Gen 4, the latest one. It has a reading side light. It has a red side light. It also has a UV side light. 650 maximum lumens output. It also has 200 lumens on high, and then it goes to 25 lumens on low. 25 lumens for 8 hours. Pretty significant. Now, the only downside to this is that it's an internal battery. You have to charge this flashlight. There's no extra batteries that you can bring with this flashlight. Okay. Now, with that in mind, let's just take these two guys. These are the two that I would choose. With that in mind, I'm choosing these two because I'm bringing extra batteries for this flashlight. And this is kind of my backup flashlight, the Rovivon. But this one can run on low, 1 lumen for 29 and a half days. Sounds pretty impressive, but I'm not going to use it that much. I can run this on high at 1500 lumens for 3 hours. I can run it on 150 lumens for about 11 hours. So really a great flashlight. Lots of options as far as how I run this. Also the clip on here, hat clip, magnetic tail cap, a lot of different ways to attach this to things. So I get a lot of versatility out of this flashlight. It also comes with a headlamp strap. So this is something I can put on my headlamp or on my head and rotate this. It's a little bit on the big side for a headlamp, okay? Admittedly so. And if that's the case, I would probably go with the Woobin E7 or the Skill Hunt. All three of these have headlamp straps that they come with, okay? This is probably my favorite one. If I was to go ultra light and I really needed to make sure I had light, I'd bring probably 3 or 4 of these batteries, headlamp strap, and this flashlight. Extremely lightweight, great light outputs. And you also have what I call the camp light mode, which is 2 white emitters and a red emitter. You kind of get the best of both worlds, kind of that night vision preservation, and the white light kind of brightens things up a little bit. So these two, if I was to go ultralight, probably these two, the Skill Hunt H200. If I wasn't quite concerned about that much weight and I really needed to have longer run times, I'm going to go with the Sofer and HS41. Why not the Woobin E7? There's just not enough of a big enough jump between the Skill Hunt H200 and the Sofer and HS41. There's a much bigger jump in run times between these two. All right. The headlamp thing is what really gets me on this one. It just is a heavy thing to have up front. But the headlamp strap on this one is pretty good. Has some rubberized texturing on the inside so it doesn't slip down as much, that kind of thing. So to me, that's where I would go if I was going to go ultralight. All right, last one, extended travel. And this is extended travel. We're going to call this a hike. All right, so we're not going to be in a car. We're not extreme mountaineering. We're not going from base camp up to elevation and coming back down to base camp. This is going to be 4 to 5 days. So it's 4 to 5 days. I'm planning for 6 to 7 minimum. 6 to 7 days minimum. What flashlights am I bringing with? All right. Now, hiking, maybe this is not necessarily mountain hiking where you're doing a lot of elevation gain. If that's the case, you might go a little bit heavier with your flashlight, that number one flashlight for the protection security. So you might go a little bit heavier with that one because you want longer run times. And maybe that flashlight is going to be one that's going to charge other things. So the Sofern, here's one that I would really consider. It is a beast. It has 3 21-700 batteries in here. And, but it also discharges as well as it charges. So let's see here. Here's the Type-C output right here, rubber flap. Nobody likes these, but I don't mind them. I think they're fine. Input and output for power. So I can charge other things. So it's a 2-for-1. Now I could bring a battery pack with me. Okay. This small little battery pack, which the solar cell basically is for long-term charging, not for short-term. And, if you're out for 5 days, that's short-term charging. This is not what it's for. But if you leave this like in the windowsill of your house or in the windowsill of your car or the window of your car, without letting it burn up, you're going to get this thing charged up in about 3 to 4 weeks. Yeah. That's how long it takes. Or you can bring a larger battery pack, which I've been charging my other light with, that I'm running over here on the right. But this larger battery pack is much better for an extended trip. And this obviously can charge a lot of things, but look at the solar panels you have in there. Okay. And I forget how long it takes for this to recharge. I think this takes like a week to recharge. So it's significantly less time. And really what you're doing is you're minimizing the rate of discharge by being able to charge with the solar cell. So that I think is really an important piece to it, is like, how are you going to handle the extended travel when it comes to power? So deciding on what you're going to do, I would sacrifice a little bit of weight and weight, like I'm going to lose some weight while I'm hiking by carrying a flashlight like this. Great security, have the ability to charge other things, and you can run this thing on low. What's the low on the S8, the Q8? Low is 200 lumens for over a day, 27 hours. 200 lumens for 27 hours you can run this flashlight. So you can do a lot with this one. And maybe you give up the middle tier flashlight, one of these flashlights in here, because you're going to bring this and maybe one other smaller one. You're just going to go 2. But I always go 3. I'm going to bring this one. I'm going to probably bring a lighter weight mid-tier, that safety and security, mid-tier, the campsite area, but I'm going to have something that has a little bit of reach to it. And I'm going to go with the MSR KR4, very small, compact, 18650 battery, great versatility. It runs the Android 2 software in here, so you can program just about anything you want in here. You just got so much capability with this flashlight, and it's just solid. Small case. I mean, this is great. So this combined with my Sofern is going to be a great combination for these two. And if I have to, I can charge this flashlight off of this flashlight. Now, last but not least, I'm going to bring a keychain flashlight. And this is a very capable keychain. Now, you'll say, why are you bringing a keychain flashlight as your number 3? 500 lumen max output. And let's see here. There we go. So it has 1 lumen to start with, and it tells you how much, 15 lumens for 8 hours. I can go, 200 lumens for 2 hours? I'm sorry, 200 lumens for 45 minutes. And 15 lumens, let's go 65 lumens for 2.5 hours. 65 lumens is pretty healthy inside the tent, inside of a hotel room, not inside of a hotel room, but if I'm camping, long 5-day trip, easy. This is going to fill up the tent with light that I need. Okay. 200 lumens for 30 minutes is also another one. That's nothing to shake a stick at. 45 minutes actually. So easy to carry around, easy to charge up. It also has a lockout feature. And when I really need it, I can go with 500 lumens and about 15 seconds. That's a pretty bright light inside of a tent. Now, if I need something brighter, then I've got 2 other options here that I can go brighter with. But this right here, when it comes down to what am I going to bring and how am I going to light things up, I have all kinds of options with these 2 or these 3 flashlights. Okay. So again, going back and kind of wrapping this thing up, we're looking at tiers. We're looking at how do we do this in a way that has a little bit of redundancy, has some overlap. It covers the different tiers of protection, security, safety, convenience, when it comes down to where I'm at, where I'm staying, that kind of thing. Also, we're taking into consideration the distance away from resupply, the duration away from resupply. And what does that mean? Okay. Those are all, I think, considerations for this. But you've got a whole bunch of flashlights that are great pocket carry flashlights. The Lumen Top series, there's 3 of them right here. We have the EDC 15, the Silver Fox, which we already mentioned, and the Tool AA 3.0. They have a Tool AA 2.0, which has the same outputs as the Lumen Top Silver Fox and the EDC, which means the run times are better. When you put 900 lumens on the same battery as this one over here, the EDC I think runs at 650. I think that's right. Anyway, you're going to get longer run times because you have less lumens going out the door. Okay. The Skill Hunt E2A is another similar one, has an etched glass on here. These 3 have etched glass, so you have a great wide angle thing on here. If you're looking for a tactical flashlight, one that has, and this could be a campsite flashlight. It's a AA. This is the Well Tool T1 Pro. It's called the Little Duke. I'm telling you, this thing is it's an absolute laser of a flashlight. 14,500 battery, 500 lumens, but the candela is like almost 20,000 if I remember right. Let's see here. Where is it? Yeah, it's 21,000 candela. It's like a laser that comes out of here, which also means you're not going to light up, large areas very well. It is going to light up the area that the beam hits or that little hot spot hits very well, very, very well. But you just don't get a lot of spill. But if you're looking for a tactical flashlight that has some reach to it, this is really more or less a kind of a close quarter medium, maybe not close quarters, but kind of close quarters medium to long range. Like this is a long range flashlight. It's an amazing flashlight. Some other good ones down here in the stubby field. I love the Wubin XO or the X0. I don't know if it's XO or X0. This is a great flashlight. Actually, it's a competitor to the E7 because the E7, you can take this extension tube off, put it on here, and you have a single emitter that's running off of an 18650 battery. You've got a great little clip on here. It's a slightly different user interface where the button is up here towards the front. The button on this one is on the back. And if you like that, this may be one for you. They both work in the same headlamp strap that comes with the E7. Okay, I love the Skill Hunt, the H200, the Sofern SC13, a great handheld with a Fresnel lens. Great little flashlight. Over 1,000 lumens output. The True Night T1. These 3 right here are kind of all sisters to the Olight Baton 2 S1R. 1,000 lumen output, lockouts, 2-way clips. They kind of all do the same thing about the same way, but those 3 kind of all go together. Here's another MSR D2. I love this flashlight. You have the regular light emitter out here, that you also have the UV emitter down here. You can control this, again, Andrel 2. You can control how this thing works, 1,000 lumens output, but this has the Nietzsche 519A emitter in it, so it has that warmer light. You're not going to get quite 1,000 lumens out of this. Now, the Olight Flex, Arc Flex, fantastic flashlight. I hate the charging system. Magnetic charging system, proprietary. I won't bring this camping with me. I won't bring the S1R camping with me. Okay? It's just not worth it. And what's the other one here? The Skill Hunt. The one I really like. Now, I won't bring the magnetic charging with me, but I can take this battery out. It's 18350 battery. I've got a few of those, so I will bring this with me. That's my concession. Okay? But I can't stand magnetic charging. I think it's a lost opportunity because you have a flashlight that really should be charged Type-C charging just like everybody else. What else? We talked about this. Oh, this one. This is what started it all when it comes down to articulating heads. It's the Nightcore MT21C, 1,000 lumens. Great flashlight. You can hang it off of this hook right here. It has a magnetic tail cap, articulating head. This is the flashlight that started it all when it came down to the articulating head, like the Arc Flex. And I also have the Brynite. I'm going to reach over here and grab the Brynite. This is the Brynite HL18. It was sent in to me to review. Pretty good flashlight. Kind of heavy on the head strap. Also, there's no center strap that goes over the top, so this strap will kind of work its way down on your head. There's no rubberized coating on the inside either. So look for that review. That's coming out if it's not already out. But it has, it's good. It's got detents for the adjustable part of the head strap. It has detents for the adjustability on the head of the lamp. So pretty good light, good output, more of a spot than a flood. And when it comes down to a headlamp, that's kind of a deterrent. When it comes to outdoor flashlights, when you're looking for a headlamp, you really should look for something that has more of a flood than a spot. Yeah, you want maybe a both, hybrid, But for me, most of what I do, and again, this is about what you do most of the time, is going to be closer within, let's say, 20, maybe 30 feet. So I don't really need a spotlight. I need something that's a little more flood to it. And that's why I love this flashlight right here. The Skill Hunt H200 is a great option, as is the HS41. The Sofern right here. This is also another headlamp. This one, surprisingly, Acebeam H16, 1000 lumens. This comes with a headlamp strap, magnetic tail cap. You know, the user interface, the button here is on the top. Awesome two-way clip, extremely lightweight, 14500 battery, 1000 lumens, okay? And that's on turbo. But at the high, 310 lumens for 2 hours. 310 lumens for 2 hours. So good flashlight there. All right, let's talk real quick about some of the extra stuff that's out here. All right, the extra stuff that's out here. Oh, where do we start? I mean, there's some cool stuff. I really like the T4K. They call this a keychain flashlight. They slapped a key ring clip on here. This is not a keychain flashlight at all. I mean, it's not going to be that. But just like, there we go. Just like the Teeny 2, the Nitecore Teeny 2, this is the bigger version of it. 4,000 max output on turbo. I can run this on 1 lumen for 57 hours. I can run this on 15 lumens for 18 hours, 65 lumens for 6.5 hours, 200 lumens for 2.5 hours. So you get basically the same setup as the Teeny 2 as far as your lumen choice, but it's much bigger capacity, so much longer run times. And when I want to run this flashlight, there it is on 1. And let's just say here, I hold this, it goes right to 4,000 lumens immediately, just like the Teeny 2 goes up to 500 lumens immediately. And then when I let go, it goes back down to 1. Has a lockout feature, same thing with the Teeny 2. You just press once and then hold, so it's a 2 hold. And you get the first lockout, the second lockout. First lockout means you get to use the low light output. The second lockout means nothing works. Great flashlight. I love it. It's a kind of a unique flashlight, also set up for a ball cap. I really like this. I would bring this along as more of my campsite flashlight, along with, you get your Sofern. It's just square. I don't know, a little bit boxy. I'm not quite used to this shape yet. I'm not quite used to square, boxy type flashlights, but I'm warming up to the idea. So that's kind of my hang up on this, is more of just the design, the form of the flashlight. But I do like the information on the screen and also the output a lot. Next up, as far as specialty flashlights go, I didn't mention too much about the Sofern IF23. You can run, you got your reading light, okay, press 1 click, you get your single light out here. Press 2 and you get your turbos. If I turn it off and press twice, I get the side light. If I turn it off, press it 3 times, I get the color side light. In this case, it's red. It's kind of hard to see because the camera's adjusting for it. And then I can adjust through all the different colors from there to purple, blue. Then it's going to go to, I think it's green. Yep, there comes green. Then it's going to go to yellow. Okay, so you get all these different colors that come out of that side light, which is kind of cool. Magnetic tail cap. It has a 2-way clip. I don't think this is going to be workable on a ball cap. It's just, there's too much leverage out at the end. Okay, and there's only one place. You can't switch this clip over here and run the light closer in on your ball cap brim. So yeah, I don't know about that. But this also charges other things. It's a 2-way Type-C charge discharge. This could be used in a pinch to charge other things like a cell phone or something. A 21700 battery in here, so it's got a healthy battery. I really like that a lot. Very versatile. This might be one of the most versatile outdoor camping flashlights that's there, because you can run this as a lantern, a spotlight with, I think it's 4,000 lumens. Let me check that real quick. Yeah, it's 4,000 lumens. So high output, but it's going to get hot too because it's a single emitter. But just great, very versatile flashlight. Next up is the Nitecore CU6. I use this one for my video productions. I use this because it has a strong, really strong UVA emitter on there. It also has a green, red, and blue emitter as far as color goes. But I can also go over to the white light, and there are 4 modes to that as well. And I think it goes up to 800 lumens. Let's see here. Nope, 440 lumens is the max on the white light. So it's not a real bright light. 18650 battery on here. Great for just different colors for different reasons. So as far as hunting goes, I would definitely have this with me for hunting, for tracking, for blood, that kind of thing. So that's another great flashlight. Now, one of my favorite flashlights, and it's my favorite because of all the cool stuff that this thing does. This is the Ace Beam Terminator M1. So the candela you have the LEP and the LED. The LED output is 2300 lumens, and you can do that for almost 2 minutes. Okay, 3 emitters. You can see that there's 3 emitters there, almost 2 minutes. The next level, high level, you can run 700 lumens for 2 hours and 50 minutes. Okay. Now the LEP, you just switch back and forth between LEP and LED by using this top button. You control the brightness level of whatever you're on. If you're on the LEP, you can tone it up and down. If you're on the LED, you can tone that up and down with this bottom button. 21700 battery in here, awesome. And the LEP, if you've never had an LEP light, it is like a laser, but not quite. It's bigger than that. And this one zooms. So I don't have to have that really focused beam. I can zoom it out and have a much wider beam. Now it's going to be more dull because I'm taking that light and spreading it out over a greater area. It's going to look more dull. But when I need it to be really bright for a focused beam, I can zoom that thing down. So I have a super long range light here. And I also have and this is really a floodlight. The white light on the right-hand side, the LED light, is a floodlight. So 2300 lumens, the candela. Let's see. The candela is 5,900, about 6,000 candela here. The candela on the LEP, 640,000. Remember, this one is in the 300,000s. This LEP, 640,000 candela. That's how focused that light is. And that's what candela can tell you when it comes to a flashlight. Next up, the Angel Eyes, Rovivon Angel Eyes. Great little flashlight, has a great high output. 1,650 lumens, 1,600 lumens out of both of these emitters. And then the side emitter is a UVA and UVC light, which means you have to be careful about this. You don't want to be looking at this light. This is a light that you can use to kill bacteria. How well it kills bacteria, I can't say. I can't vouch for it as of yet. But I do know that this is the type of light that they would use for killing bacteria, a UVC light. UVA is kind of your typical blue UV light, that the black light that you have, at roller rinks, things like that make everything that's white kind of stand out. The UVC is what they'll use for killing bacteria. That's the sunlight that gives you sunburn. That's the stuff that when you look at the sun, it kind of burns your retinas. So that you got to be careful with that. That's why there's a cover on this. So if you accidentally hit this side button, you're not going to get zapped by UVC light. Okay. Type-C recharging, ball cap clip on here, very lightweight. Good run times on here. Specific for me, this is a camping backup for water purification. That's why I'm going to try it out ahead of time to see how well it works. I think there's an experiment I can run to see if you give bacteria a dye and they kind of glow in the dark, and then you can see if they die. That's the experiment I'm looking for. I'll be running that pretty soon. I'll let you know what happens if I can get to that point, actually. Next up is the Nitecore 21700 intelligent battery system. This is cool. Now, I haven't used this yet, but I have had this on my Amazon cart for probably 2 or 3 years, probably 3 years. And what it is, basically, is a 21700 battery. Right here, 5,000 milliamp hours. You have a charge and discharge cap. All right. The top, I believe, is to discharge, and the side is to charge this battery. So if I plug it on the side, I'm charging this battery. If I plug something in the top, I am discharging. This is a portable battery cell. And if I want to, take that top off, and I've got a lantern. You talk about ultralight camping, mountaineering. This is one of the lights that I would bring for ultralight camping for sure. I think this is a great flashlight for mountaineering. You just don't have, that's it. There's no aluminum body. Now, this is only a floodlight. This is definitely inside of a tent. This is that safety and convenience type setup, tier 3, that inner core inside the envelope, inside your hotel room, that kind of thing. If you're in a hotel room, you have to worry about charging. So that's why you're not bringing this. But if you're mountaineering or doing an extended hike, 4 or 5 days, this is a great light to have as a tent light, especially if you have a team. If you're going as a group, somebody could carry this. 2 people in a tent, you've got, you're sharing that one flashlight. It's awesome. All right. Last but not least, and that is we're going to be looking at, this light right here. Charge this up or pull this up here. This is the Lumentop Frog. I've done a video on this. Great keychain flashlight. When you talk about keychain flashlights, these guys over here, legitimate keychain flashlight, because the size of the flashlight matches well with the length of a key. I mean, you can see how long this flashlight is compared to a typical key, right? So for me, this is a legitimate keychain flashlight. For any kind of hike where I have my keys with me, because if you park your car at the trailhead or whatever, you're going to be bringing this with you somewhere. I'm going to have this with. Now, the downside to this particular flashlight is the charging system. I have to take this cap off, screw this cap on, Type-C charging, and then you can charge this up. The nice thing, though, is you can buy the battery on the inside. I think it's a 10140, 101 something. I think it's a 10140. But I've already purchased 2 more of those batteries. So if I was to use this as my tier 3, my inside the tent flashlight, I could absolutely do that, because this runs 600 lumens max. Bring 2 more batteries with you, and you just tripled the time on all of that. So to me, this is actually not a bad idea overall when it comes down to the flashlights you have in your pocket. Okay. Last but not least, charging system. This is the charging system I use in my house. It's the Nitecore UMS4. It has 4 bays. Does a great job of telling you how the battery is doing, what it's taking as far as a charge goes. And one thing you do need to make sure that you plug this into a high output DC. This is a USB-A plug, but you want a high output USB-A plug output that you plug this into. So that your batteries can maximize and get the maximum amount of juice. Otherwise, it takes forever. That thing will cook through and get those batteries nice and charged up for you real quick. I'm not totally sure on what the amperage, but you get the idea. High flow charge, that's how it would work. So there you go. Those are the choices that I would make on all these flashlights, some specialty things that are out here. Put down in the comments below what you think of this. It's a long video. I get it. At the same time, I think it gives you some ideas on how to handle some of the trips that you have. Keep in mind, I think one of the things that really, if you're one takeaway, look at the RIG, the Real Ideal Gear flashlight matrix. I think that's a very helpful thing. I'm looking at that now like, dang, that simplifies a lot of things for me. Like, what do I actually bring? And I have some battery options down here, because battery options kind of determine the size of the flashlight that you're bringing as well. Okay. And have fun with it. Now, I'm probably going to bring more flashlights than I need, because that's the way I've always done it for years. But now I have a way of just kind of making sure I choose a better flashlight for more situations, or bring more batteries, or whatever the situation is. So put that in the comments down below. What do you think of this? What are some ideas that you have as far as like, how do you handle trips? Do you bring 2 flashlights with you all the time? Do you just bring 1? Do you bring 5? A suitcase of flashlights? Who knows? But put that in the comments down below. I'm really curious to see how you all handle the flashlights that you bring on trips for extended duration, extended distances, and vice versa. So there you go. My name's Tim. This has been another Real Ideal Gear review. We'll catch you guys next time.